Join us as we sit down with remarkable individuals from various walks of life who faced their fair share of obstacles and emerged victorious. Each episode, you'll hear inspiring stories, actionable tips, and wisdom that can supercharge your own journey when using adversity as motivation. Let's learn together. Welcome to Lauer Power.
Welcome to another episode of Lauer Power, using adversity as motivation. Alongside Chad Lauer, I'm Chad Evans inside the Stone State Entertainment Podcast studios here in Northumberland County, Pennsylvania. Mr. Lauer, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you having the microphone up nice and close to your mouth there so we all can hear you. You look great.
Terrific. I'm still learning this game, so you are the expert. So I'm so excited about episode 2 because my favorite guest is the producer of this podcast, which is you, Chad Evans.
I am the producer of your podcast, and I enjoy it very much. I'm thrilled that you invited me to do this.
So you inspire so many entrepreneurs, especially here in central Pennsylvania. I think it's important for people listening outside of the area to understand, where we come from. And we're here in the coal region, and it's part of our roots. And, I want to give the audience a little bit of an intro for you today. How does that sound?
I guess we have enough room on the computer to do it. This might be a 5-hour-long podcast.
So by the way, when did Chad become such a negative name? I mean, it's like up there associated with Karen. I don't understand it. Like there's like 10,000 Chads in their late 30s and 40s. And I love our name, but I haven't met a young Chad in 30 years.
Well, there might be a reason for it. Maybe we broke the mold, right?
I mean, there's a show out there called The Chad, and it's really, that's a negative connotation with our name.
There's a show out there called The Chad?
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, let's write to him.
Anyway.
Maybe that's the next episode.
So listen, our podcast, right? It's about entrepreneurship. It's about adversity, which comes with everybody's journey in entrepreneurship. And you've spent 25 years in local broadcasting, and you've been the backbone here in Central PA of almost everybody's marketing plans, right? You're so well known. You launched in 2017 your company called Stone State Entertainment. You've helped various local businesses and entrepreneurs throughout that time by creating content for websites, social media platforms, writing, directing, producing, and performing in murder mysteries, producing documentaries, and even launching a high school sports live stream YouTube channel. So Chad, to me, you're the backbone of the coal region from a marketing perspective. You provide a passionate and a fun way of highlighting all of the good that comes in an area that's been really struggling, if we're being honest, post coal industry. And I just want you to know, I appreciate you. And I think that there's so much we can learn from you, as we talk about entrepreneurship and leadership. You're a little bit different, right? You're a one-man band.
I'm a one-man band.
Solo entrepreneur.
Sole member of Stone State Entertainment, LLC.
And why is that? Can I ask? Is that something you've always you wanted that to happen? Is you just wanted to be in control of your own destiny, or?
That's a great question right off the bat. I want a bunch of employees.
Okay.
I do. I guess, I technically have employees, but, third-party vendors, third-party contractors are 1099 friends who I love that work with me on various productions, whether being a cameraman or post-production or even voiceover work, stuff like that. When I started this, I envisioned a lot of people working under Stone State. I found it to be easier if I just did it. Now you don't like that because it's not scalable, and you yell at me because of it.
Well,
but we're working on it.
We're being real on this podcast. So I don't like it, but I understand it. There's tons of solo entrepreneurs out there, and I don't knock them at all.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's easier to sleep at night. And the other thing is, listen, if you're a 1099 person and you don't get your job done, you're likely not getting another job. If you're an employee and you don't get your job done, you're going to get a few more chances. So you've eliminated that stressor.
Yes. Yeah. And I just found it easier with my books too, using 1099. So, I mean, that's another podcast altogether, payroll. Maybe we can touch on that somewhere down the line. But I mean, I just find it easier. I'm able to control the outcomes, my deliverables, if I just do them myself. Now, with that being said, I do want to get here into the realm of teaching people my craft on how I do things, on how I film people, on how I do my post-production work, and train them specifically on a Stone State model on how to build culture like that. Because it's more than the camera that you have. It's more than the lens. It's more than the pretty lights and the microphones that you have. It's how to relate to people and how to coach them through adversity or meeting somebody for the first time. That's what I want to get into is coaching people so they can do this for me, and then I can go out golfing with you.
Do you realize the impact you've had on the area?
Not at all. No.
Do you think about it?
Never.
Never think about it?
No.
So this is just something you started Tiger. Well, you didn't start it, but you helped make it a thing. We went to high school together.
Yeah.
You started Tiger News at Southern Columbia High School, where you would bring the entire student body the news in the morning, the weather, and it was always dang funny, and everybody looked forward to starting their day with you. And then that transitioned to 25 years in broadcasting. So tell me why did that happen? How did that happen?
Well, Tiger News is that those morning announcements that we were able to have fun with, giving the students and the faculty news throughout the day. We tell them about what they're having for lunch and what they look forward to. We talk about sporting events. And since then, throughout the years, I graduated in 1998. So throughout the years, that Tiger News has grown into something incredible. Multi-camera shoots. They do remote locations, and they now have highlights of the game and things like that. At the time, we just had one card table with a microphone duct taped to the table, and that's how we did it. We didn't even have wardrobes. I had to borrow ties from Mr. Doyle from his closet and wear the ties. But it was a lot of fun, and I got to learn a lot, but never thought that it could be a career. I guess times were different back then. I don't know. I was not a great student. I wasn't book smart. I found myself in theater at Southern Columbia, which I found to be really, really great. I was also an athlete, but I really took to theater. I just kind of got such a pleasure in providing entertainment for my friends, my fellow students, parents for the shows. And, not one person came to me and said, you should do this after you graduate high school. Not one person, but I guess that wasn't their job. I don't know. I just got lucky that I fell into local broadcasting at a local radio station, 94KX, Sunbury Broadcasting. I literally just fell into it. Through the friends that I made working at Knoebels. A friend of mine, Bob Hauer, who went to Lourdes, graduated the same time I did. He was in broadcasting. He went to Susquehanna University. He did his 4-year degree and got into local broadcasting, and they needed help on the overnights from midnight till 6 in the morning. And he called me up because he knew that I DJ'd parties, weddings, clubs, bars. And he's like, you should come on the radio. And I'm like, I didn't realize that was a job. Nobody told me it was a job. I didn't know you could do that. I thought radio was out in New York City. I don't know anything about radio. Luckily enough, I did that, and I really never left.
What an awesome story.
It is. It's crazy.
And it's cool because I wasn't a great student always either. Yeah. So I think there's some of us entrepreneurs have a similar story. And I think once we find something that we're really passionate about, it kind of just allows us to thrive. So, what made you launch Stone State Entertainment?
I launched Stone State Entertainment back in 2017 at the radio station that I was at, Max Media in Selinsgrove, that is now Seven Mountains Media. I created a digital department within the radio stations, and it was a video production department. I don't know if this is this grandioso idea or not, but I'm sure somebody had it before. But, radio lives on radio advertising and working with clients and working with audio and putting a 30-second radio commercial on that radio station. Well, I said, well, we have the audio. Why don't we just make like a video so they could put it on websites or this new thing called YouTube? Maybe that might be a thing.
Right.
And I talked to the owners at the time, and Mr. Trinder and Gene Loving, who were the owners of Max Media, beautiful men, fantastic people as leaders. They gave me the okay and said, okay, here's some money, buy a camera, buy things that you need, and go and do it. And then, fast forward maybe 5 years later, I noticed, looking at the gross revenue from this little video production department, that we made more money than one of the radio stations that we had. We grossed more money. And then I kind of thought to myself, like, well, I'm selling them. I'm producing these videos. I'm doing the voiceovers for these videos. I'm in these videos. And I said, I think I can do this on my own, only because like the clients that we were working with knew me going out there and filming this and creating the production. It wasn't so much the radio station coming out and doing this. It was Chad. And I said, I think I'm going to do this. So I went home, and, some things changed in the radio industry. And at the time I was general manager of the radio station, and I wasn't really loving that. I came home, and we had 1-year-old twin girls at the time. And I came home and I told my wife, who was holding our twin daughters in her arms, I said, hey, listen, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm just going to go ahead and do something on my own.
How did that go?
Didn't go well, Chad. It didn't go well at all. It was like talking to a board of directors, and that board of directors was one person. And she goes, well, I'm going to need to see a business plan. And luckily enough, I had a business plan, because I had this in the back of my mind. I said, listen, here are the logistics. Here are what I believe I can do. And she did not want me to do this. And I sold myself to my wife that this can work. And I took out a small loan, a $20,000 loan, to buy all the equipment that I needed. And I allowed myself enough capital to last 3 months. I had 3 months. If it wasn't going to work, it wasn't going to work. But the first month on my own, I made $800. That's right. I said $800.
Killing it.
And that was the best $800 I've ever made in my entire life. I fell into friendships that are going to be lifelong friendships. I met Paul Smith, who owns 8 Days a Week recording studio. He had a space for me to move in, to be creative, to do my own thing. And, that's a whole other story altogether on how I fell into this studio that we're at here today. But it's just by being out on my own, selling myself, creating friendships and networking and business relationships, that I'm able to keep going, doing what I really enjoy doing. I don't know how or why, but through the friendships and the people that I met throughout my career in radio and being out and about, and for some reason having some kind of personality that's likable, which I don't know how I got. I got a lot from my dad and my mom too, but just being a likable person created trust. And within that trust that I got from other people created confidence. And that confidence led me to be a leader in Stone State Entertainment.
What an awesome story. And my story is so similar, because I was in corporate America and was there for 10 years. I would travel in a sales role, and I was getting the clients, and I was building the relationships. And in 2018, I was through my third buyout in 10 years in corporate America. And I'll never forget it. Came home to my wife and I said, I'm done. I'm going to do this on my own. And she also didn't want me to do it. And we went to Applebee's and I pitched her my business plan. I'll never forget it. And we applied for the LLC on the state website.
Sure.
And that's how these stories are made. This is real life stuff, right? We have to sell our family on this big risk. And It's a great story.
A friend of mine said that, and Alicia Mosser, she was a Mosser. She's now a Mac. Now, one of my best friends. She said to me something that still resonates with me, and she goes, "Chad, listen. If this doesn't work, so what? You're still young enough. Learn how to drive a forklift. Like, get out there. You can just get another job doing something else. Give it a go." And that was like a big selling point for me because nobody really talked to me like that. Like, if it doesn't work, so what? Do something else.
It's so funny because I had a gentleman, Ryan Shannon's his name. He owns a company called Step 5 Creative in Bethlehem, PA. And he was younger than me, but he had done it. And he was kind of the person I was meeting with for coffee in the mornings. Mm-hmm. And same thing. He's like, dude, you're already doing it. The only difference is you're just working for yourself. He's like, you're already doing the work. He's like, you just need to be able to make the jump. So
you just need to be responsible for the taxes.
Correct. That's the big part, right?
That's the big part.
But yeah, well, listen, what was your biggest struggle, with starting the business? Was it the finances? Was it getting the clients? Was it the time required? Tell us a little bit about that process.
If I weren't married and I didn't have any kids, I would work 24/7, meaning I would be in studio working on things. I didn't think about time restraints. I didn't think about getting more clients. I just worked on what was in front of me. I didn't focus on the money. I didn't focus on what's going to happen in 3 months. I was just focused on creating projects for small businesses as they came in, whether it be voiceover work or short social media videos or funny Knobles videos or whatever. I was just thankful that people were reaching out to let me create things for them. And I just focused on the deliverables. I just focused on that. And I wanted them to get results, right? And do it in a timely manner. Over exceed expectations was a really big thing for me. That's what I did. And honestly, 6 years later, I'm still doing that.
Be where your feet are, right?
Be where your feet are.
We talk about that all the time at Lauer Media.
It's true.
It's really true. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do really, really well today, that's not going to help you tomorrow. So you need to be where your feet are. I love it. So can I ask you something else? So you have done so much, especially in like the town of Shamokin.
Yeah.
You live in the suburbs of Shamokin.
Yes.
So, you've made rap videos and you've made lots of people laugh and you've bought buildings in town and you've promoted businesses. Why?
I just love the coal region. I love the people in the coal region. When I was growing up as a kid, my great grandparents would watch me and I was like, 4 or 5 and, coming off the bus after kindergarten, they'd drop me off. And my great-grandparents were really great for me. And every Friday, they would get dressed up and we'd go downtown. We'd go to Woolworth's, JCPenney, maybe catch a movie at the Vicky. And I just found it to be a very blue-collar, coal region town. And then growing up, you notice that this town that, you would spend so much time in and have so many memories with your great-grandparents, and you're like, well, I have a little bit of a platform. I have a little creative edge to me. I want to do something good for the region. I want to do something good for the area. And I don't know what that is, but being able to do something, I was there with a little bit of a brain, a little bit of a creative outlet that maybe I can help somewhere. And that's kind of how it is today. It's easier said than done to turn a place like Shamokin around because it is in dire straits right now. There's no question about that. That might be on another podcast altogether. But you look at neighboring towns such as Jim Thorpe, where they really just turn things around very, very quickly. And now they use it now as a tourist destination. And I think that's the key for Shamokin. And if you squint tight enough, you can see things happening in Shamokin. They have the AOAA park. They have, new restaurants that showed up. They're trying to get some, industrial work in and around the city. And I think that's the key. I might be getting off subject here a little bit, but Shamokin is an interesting place only because of its location. Back in 1910, this thing had 7 theaters, man. It was a bustling city. It was unbelievable, to the likes of, like, they used to call it Little New York. A friend of mine, Bob DeLugie, who's the neighboring lawyer of ours, who's a very sweet man, and he always called it Little New York because you had a melting pot of all different kinds of people in one small area, and it's still there today.
So it's not off topic at all. In fact, for those listening, many small towns are struggling. Mm-hmm. And I moved back I was in the 5th largest city in the country in Philadelphia. It might be the 6th now. And then I was in the Lehigh Valley, which is a booming area and growing. So the last 10 years of my life, I'm around places that are expanding, building new buildings, beautifully new paved roads. Everything's growing. Quickly. And I'm moving back to my roots a year ago. And this doesn't just relate to Shamokin. This is a leadership thing. And I don't know the leadership in Shamokin at all. And I don't think it's a leadership problem.
Well, I don't think there are.
So you who've been here and been grinding, and we can use this as a leadership topic of entrepreneurship and city council or government or whatever. What do we do? Is it, do we need to inspire more leaders? Do we need to do we need to recruit businesses? How do we fix this issue so that when our kids grow up, they don't leave?
I think this
is a deep question, man.
It's a deep question.
But leadership 101, where do we start?
Well, we have a lot of great people wanting to do good. I think we could use a lot more youth within the leadership role, but just because you sit on city council doesn't make you a leader.
Of course.
Right? That's a deep question, because there's just not one sentence that would be like, well, this is what we need. It all comes out to your city leaders that sit on the city council, but then, they're voted in, so we have to, provide our intelligence to bring in the right people in the city of Shamokin. And then we all have to work together. And there's no simple solution to that. We have to make things priorities. We have to, honestly, if it were up to me, and people will criticize me if they're listening, but we need to knock down buildings and put a little paint on some buildings and grow trees. Open it up a little bit. I could go on and on about what
I agree with you, by the way,
the city of Shamokin needs, but holy cow, you literally pull in there and you're depressed. So I agree with everything you're saying. This conversation is coming from our leadership piece and you, because this is in the root of who you are. So whether somebody wants to judge us or not, this podcast is about using adversity as motivation, right? Yeah. We're talking about my story, your story, future guests of dealing with hardships and how you come out of those hardships and do better in the world, do good in the world. Correct.
So I don't know why. I don't know if it's normal. You're thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. But how do we get people to come together and say, man, let's get this thing going in the right direction and use that adversity as a way to bond us, right? When you go into the trenches with somebody and you come out and you're okay, it's that's a bond that lasts forever. And it's we're all in the trenches. We're seeing our communities struggle with drugs and all kinds of things. And I want those people to be entrepreneurs. You don't need a degree to learn sales.
No.
You don't need a degree to be an entrepreneur. There's people here who, hey, maybe you're still in town, but you can go start a business. You can come sell for me. You can come sell for Chad. What are you doing? Let's go. Let's rock and roll kind of deal, So this podcast again is to inspire those people to say, hey, you can become an entrepreneur. What can you do? You paint, right? I agree with you.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's rock and roll.
There's so I'm going to go back to the AOA park, which is met with a lot of scrutiny within the area, which is all BS, right? We are attracting people from outside of this area into the AOA park. People that have $75,000 trailers to haul their ATVs. People from New Jersey, New York, all over up and down the East Coast to the AOA park. They have the world-renowned Jeep Jamboree in Gowan City. And we're able now to ride ATVs up and down the street, and people, are bitching about that. It's just noise, right? Honestly, we have to do these kind of things to bring in money into the area to keep us on the map. It is successful. And how this whole thing started was just a small group of people coming together and making it happen. And it's a close-knit community where now they are, supplying jobs to the AOA park. It's a tourism destination. It is working. You don't need 800,000 people to come together to make things happen. You just need a select few that are working together with the right mindset, with the right goals in mind to achieve greatness. And success breeds success. That's just what it is. I think with people in the area that have some money doesn't make them leaders. So a lot of times we see city leaders, somebody that might have a bunch of money can buy up some property and change things. And that's not how this works. It's a group effort, and everybody needs to have a say, but really it's execution. You can talk till you're blue in the face, but it's executing that idea. That's what makes you the leader. Right. That's where you see the results, executing. And you're going to get noise, right? But those people that are giving you the noise aren't paying the bills. They're not signing the front of the check. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Like, I get fired up about it because all you hear is negativity about the city. And it is a grind. But, I mean, something has to be done. What that something is, I have a few ideas, but I'm not in a position to implement those ideas. Not yet, anyway. Well,
I can hear your passion, and I love it.
Yeah.
And, I think we can all agree.
It's just all spinning wheels. It's just running in place. And it's the same thing over and over and over again.
And I think these are those difficult conversations, right, that come with leadership. And you have just been an awesome person with getting to, make people aware of the area, and we all appreciate that. And I will tell you, I'm going to be part of this moving forward. Yeah. In fact, I just joined the Shamokin Rotary.
And I saw that two
weeks ago. And I'm trying to do my small part. And I think maybe together we can galvanize a few more folks to join in the party.
I think that would be a great idea. And I have a couple people in mind for that already.
I told a lot of my personal story, and I didn't really get into my business too much, but I was in corporate America for 10 years. And I went through 3 buyouts or spinoffs. And every time that happened, I had to reprove my value. Mm-hmm. 2018, similar to your story, I was told that obviously there was another buyout. And hey, we love you, Chad. We want you to stay. But you're going to make about 1/3 of what you're making here with our new compensation structure. So I came home to my wife, just like you did.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm done.
Yep.
She's like, what do you mean you're done? I have 2 kids here.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going out on my own. I said, I have 2, after 10 years of work, I'm not doing this again where they're going to come in and tell me 10 more years from now when new leadership comes in and I build up a new book of business that we're going to cut it in half again.
They're not your clients. They're our clients.
Exactly. Dude, you couldn't have said any better.
Yeah.
Right. So I said, I have 2 things here. I have my relationships and a 401k. That's all I have.
That's it.
So we went to Applebee's without the kids. I'll never forget it, right in Allentown. And we had a conversation. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to make this work, but I'm going to do it. I know I can go get the clients. I have no freaking clue how I'm going to fulfill it. None. I don't know how I'm going to fulfill it, but I know I can go get the clients. It's all I've done for my whole career. That's my expertise, right? They say 10,000 hours makes. I'm an expert at business to business sales. And I just onesie twosied it, right? So the first month, I remember I had 2 clients.
Yep.
And I did everything I could to make sure they got the best services possible. And then the next month, I added on and added on and added on. And we just never look back, right? Because we treat people the right way. The other thing is similar to you is, when I was at this bigger company, I wouldn't sell a family member or a friend because I wasn't sure that I could control the service or the outcome.
Okay.
Right now, just like you, hey, I didn't know you guys did this.
Yep.
Right? If the community ends up supporting you, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
And we tend to give each other business then, right?
Yeah.
So you and I have worked together, and it's funny how much the entrepreneurial community will go out and support each other because they know what it's like to risk it all, right?
Yep, everything.
We're just getting started, right? So like you're at this point now, right? You started it. It's been a continuous, you've been evolving it, similar to Lauer Media, right?
Yeah.
And I think in future episodes, we'll talk about the struggles, right?
Yeah.
Everybody sees the sexy part of entrepreneurship.
Sure. You get to make your own hours. You get to do whatever you want.
They don't see
you get to golf on a Tuesday at 1:00.
Right. They don't see the Saturday, Sunday, midnight work. I had somebody that recently said something to me like, it must be nice.
Yeah. That's I hear that all the time.
It
must be nice.
I wanted to put the gloves up, right? Because I said, why don't you do it?
It'd be nice for you too, right?
Right. Why don't you do it? So I'm really excited to be doing this with you, man, because I think our stories are so similar. And I think
actually are. I didn't realize until we started talking on how these stories are so parallel.
Yeah, and I think that's the story of
you went through a lot more shit, though.
Well, that's not true, right? So I went through some tough stuff, but listen, everybody deals with tough stuff. And what I tell everybody is, right, I don't want to talk about your tough stuff for you, but I know you've gone through some tough stuff.
Sure.
Right? So we also don't know what's coming down the road.
Yeah.
You might deal with something way more devastating than I have or I will. And I think as community leaders, I'm being vulnerable on this podcast because I know there's somebody out there right now struggling, right? I do. And maybe their life could change if they follow one of their passions, right? Maybe they could say, damn, like, why am I acting like my life is over? Because I'm dealing with something, right? Sometimes those darkest moments are what make the next day that much brighter. So, I think that you and I together can really help inspire folks in our community. And listen, I'm thinking there might be people listening from even, outside of our community. So that's good stuff. The next part of the podcast, I think, is going to be our leadership. So I want to touch on leadership for, every podcast. I think leadership is something that's extremely important that makes us thrive. And I'm a believer that everybody's a leader. I actually asked our team recently, I said, who here is a leader? And a lot of folks didn't raise their hand. And I said, well, when was the last time you got together with your friends or went out to eat with your family? Did you make the plans? Did you pick the restaurant? Did you plan that? Well, yeah. Well, then you're a leader, right? There's somebody probably in your circle looking up to you. I don't know if I'm the first college grad I think I might be the first college grad from both sides of my family. I don't know that. Not that it matters, but maybe one of somebody in my family looked up to me and said, hey, wow, look, he did it, right? So leadership is super important, and I think we'll grow as leaders together on this podcast. So again, this isn't leadership tips. I don't believe I'm a better leader than you. It's let's become a better leader together, okay? And it allows us to thrive at Lauer Media at work, and it allows for us to thrive outside of work, right? Be where your feet are. If I'm thinking about work when I'm with my wife, my relationship's not going to be too good, right? If I'm with my kids and I'm thinking about work, I'm really not giving them the attention. So we're going to talk about that type of stuff. The leadership topic I want to bring to the table today is setting a clear agenda. The biggest thing in business and in our personal lives that we struggle with is what I call a scope creep. A scope creep is somebody who wants more than what you signed up to give them. But it falls on you if you don't set a clear agenda up front, right? So I'll go over a sales example of this topic with you, Chad. Chad, listen, I appreciate you meeting with me today. Here's how this meeting's going to go. I'm going to ask you as much about your business as possible so that I can understand your goals and where you want to go. Okay.
Got it.
I'm then going to present solutions on how you can accomplish those goals by working with Lauer Media. I'm then going to open it up for Q&A to make sure you totally understand how we can help you. And then at the end of this meeting, if everything makes sense to you, I'm going to ask you to do business with me today. How does that sound?
Sounds fair to me.
Okay. What'd you think about that? Setting the stage.
I find it to be very appropriate.
Okay. So when I ask you to do business with me at the end of this call, are you going to be surprised?
No.
So if I didn't set that agenda, you might just think I'm a presenter.
Oh, okay.
You might think maybe I just drive around in my car all day just to teach you about how to grow your business.
But it's because you set the stage that there's no surprises at the end.
Very clear stage, right?
Yeah.
So, Chad, if you sign up for me with social media management,
am I going to buy something at the end of this?
Yeah, you're buying today, baby. I'm closing you right now. It's called closing from the top, right? So if you sign up for social media management with Lauer Media, what does that mean? Does that mean it's one post a week, one post a day? Does it mean we're commenting for you? Does it mean we're following other pages for you? Does it mean we're managing your ads? Does it mean we're managing your content creation? That's a pretty broad term. Hey, I want to do your social media management. Doesn't work, right? You need to identify a clear scope of what we're doing, because you might say, hey, I want to buy one post a week from Lauer Media.
How much is that going to cost?
How much is that going to cost, right? Well, then you buy it and I sell it to you because I just need a sale.
Yeah.
And all I do is ask you for the content and post it. And you thought I was supposed to create the content. Do you know how much time it takes to create good content?
Yes, I do.
It's what you do, right?
That's what I do.
People think it costs $200, $300. I'm like, do you know how much time it takes to create good content?
Yes.
Now, listen, if you're providing the content for me, well, then the whole scope of that project is different, right? Same thing with your family members. If you don't set a clear expectation of what you want in every relationship, it'll eventually blow up. And that passive aggressiveness is what causes it to blow up. So you'll be like, well, he didn't do that. Well, did you tell him he was supposed to do that? Right? And I'm not just talking husband-wife, right? I'm just any relationship.
In general.
Or she didn't get this or do this project. Well, did you tell her that that's what you expected? Yeah. And by the way, when did you expect that to be done? Because she might think that it was supposed to be done next week and I need it today. Well, did you set that expectation up front? Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Okay. So if we're going to improve on leadership, and what I challenge everybody to do, if you're struggling in a business relationship or a personal relationship, or if you're running meetings because you're in a business or whatever, the next time you're a leader, set clear expectations of what's going to happen in that meeting, and it will always keep you on task and your day will run much, much more efficiently. Make sense?
That's fair. My go-to line is that fair?
Is that fair?
Is that fair?
So that's called gaining reassurance.
We'll talk about that in another podcast.
Yes, sir. There's so many topics I'm excited to talk about.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and we have a lot of episodes to go. We appreciate you taking the time and listening. And again, please subscribe, download the podcast, take us with you no matter where you go. It's Lauer Power. Use adversity as motivation.
Great time, man. Can't wait to get started on the next one.
Are you a business owner, a leader, or an aspiring achiever looking to turn life's challenges into powerful fuel for your success? You've come to the right place. Get ready to unlock the secrets to turning life's hardships into your most powerful ally. Your hosts, along with our incredible guests, will help you tap into your own Lauer Power and guide you towards the success you've always dreamed of. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. The Lauer Power Podcast is a production of Stone State Entertainment.